Hello, Dr. Labo. It's so good to see you.
Hi, Ralph. I'm delighted to be able to talk to you from Dusseldorf, Germany. General Bird and I are here to attend the Codex meeting on nutrition and foods for special dietary uses, a particularly vulnerable area to Codex depredations. And the chairman of that committee, Dr. Ralph Grossklaus, is well known for diminishing the importance of nutrition. He said about 3 years ago that there is no relationship between nutrition and health, which is a fairly astonishing statement.
Quite astonishing.
And it's quite serious when you consider that Dr. Grossklaus is the chairman of a committee that's making recommendations for the entire world's food supply.
Like we have the fox guarding the chicken coop once again.
We have the fox controlling the locks to the chicken coop and deciding which chickens live and which chickens die in the chicken coop. Dr. Grossklaus is also the head of BFR, a German state-controlled toxicology system in which he is making decisions about whether nutrients are toxins or not, and whether they need to be treated as if they were toxins and treated to risk assessment. Dr. Grossklaus's changes in this area and his possible conflict of interest, which I think bears significant investigation, can potentially kill literally billions of people, because the very organizations that run the Codex Alimentarius Commission, WHO, and the Food and Agriculture Organization, they themselves have published a report that says that the non-communicable, preventable diseases of undernutrition are cancer, cardiovascular disease, stroke, diabetes, and obesity. Now, by mandating undernutrition, the Committee on Nutrition and Foods for Special Dietary Uses assures that billions of people will develop cancer, cardiovascular disease, stroke, diabetes, and obesity.
That's like something very good for the pharmaceutical industry. I understand, Doctor, that Codex is going to be looking at a number of other issues, and that GMO issues are very important this time, and that kids' cereals are also important issues, and I'm sure you'll be giving us reports about those as we go forward. But we need to talk about on our 10-minute time we have on YouTube, and each of these issues deserves hours of our attention. Tell me, first thing I'd like to announce to everyone is that this is the last day of our current money bomb, and we are really happy to report that people have donated 20% of the amount that we're trying to raise over the next couple of months. And they did that in only 10 days. And they did that to make sure that you and Bert could be at Codex in Germany, representing their interests. And at the same time, I could go down to Washington on November 5th and appear with the other attorneys in the case that we brought to try to stop the shot. Well, in addition to that, we'll also be in Washington on the Nano Silver issue. And I understand that on November 4th, you and Bert will be on the Alex Jones radio show. What will you be talking about?
We are attending Codex meeting in order to share what's happening here and in order to make contact with various delegates who are open to pro-health instead of illness food policies. And therefore, we're going to be talking about what's going on at Codex, and we're going to be talking about the swine flu issues. For instance, Switzerland has absolutely banned the Pandemrix squalene adjuvanted vaccine for children, pregnant people, and elderly.
That's important.
But those are the very people that the United States wants to give squalene adjuvanted vaccines for. Why did Switzerland say that? Because they say it's too dangerous for people who are in those categories.
And the U.S. government doesn't seem to care about the risks that people are taking with these vaccines. In fact, it looks as though the government has been basically setting up what I would call a swine flu vaccine panic. and you watch the main media and you get something going on, and then when you look at the truth and you look at what CBS News, for example, discovered, what was it, doctor? 90% of all the swine flu cases are not really swine flu. That means 90% of all the so-called swine flu deaths are not really swine flu. Is that true?
Well, it's actually worse than that. What they discovered was what we have been saying for months in the Health Freedom Action e-alerts, which is that, and by the way, you can sign up for those Health Freedom Action e-alerts by going to www.healthfreedomusa.org or www.globalhealthfreedom.org. What we've been saying is that there is no accurate test for swine flu. So if you decide that everything that everybody has that involves a cough or a sniffle is diagnosed as swine flu, you have enormous numbers of cases, which is exactly, and we've been saying this for a long time too, how the 36,000 people a year die from seasonal flu. 36,000 people a year die from seasonal flu.
Well, if you say the big lie long enough and often enough, it becomes believable. And that's what's happened, isn't it?
Exactly.
How many people really die? How many people really die of the flu? Do we know?
About 217
wow.
a year on an average.
Extraordinary.
But in the year that swine flu seasonal vaccine became available for injection, for sale, suddenly we went from 217 people, 215, 240, to 36,000 deaths, because everybody with pneumonia, everybody with respiratory issues, I suppose anybody who drowns and lungs fill with water, each one of those people is diagnosed as seasonal flu. But now, of course, the government is kind of hoist on its own petard. 36,000 people a year die of seasonal flu, but hey, maybe 100 people, if anyone, have died from swine flu. So where's the pandemic, folks? And the answer is pandemic. Did anybody see my pandemic? Oops.
Right. There is a panic, though, and the panic is not over any real disease. It's over a vaccine which is uninsurable and may very well be dangerous. Well, you know, doctor, while they're doing that to us, they're also trying to ban nanosilver. There are hearings going on next week in Washington that we'll be going to about that. What about nanosilver is so important?
Nanosilver kills every pathogen against which it's been tested, whether it's a virus or a bacterium or a parasite. But the amazing thing about nanosilver, which has no known toxic profile, which is fancy scientific language for it's non-toxic for everybody, the amazing thing about nanosilver is that it is cheap, it is effective, and it would put the entire antibiotic business out of business.
You mean those dangerous antibiotics would not be necessary anymore?
They would be absolutely unnecessary.
But you can't. But I understand you. No drug company can patent nanosilver. It's something that any company can make and put on the market without a prescription, because it's sold as a dietary supplement to help supplement your diet in order to support your immune system.
And I would remind people, dietary supplements in the United States, because of the Dietary Supplements Health and Education Act, DSHEA, passed in 1994, the dietary supplements can be taken at any dosage that you would like to take them. And therefore, they're under your control. They don't require a prescription, and they are treated as if they are food. So silver is a food, in fact. And in India, it's an Ayurvedic food which is used to wrap candies and so on, and dietary silver is eaten in that way in very thin foil sheets. Why? Because it's an incredibly effective and safe antibiotic.
Right.
Now, it is being attacked by the EPA. They want to take it off the market. They want to classify it as a pesticide. They want to classify the machinery that makes it as pesticides. And we're not going to let that happen.
Thank you, Dr. Labo. Thank you for this message. We appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you, Ralph.